SparkPeople.com, and with me today is Meg Galvin, the author of the new SparkPeople Cookbook that comes out on October 4th.
Yes.
How are you doing today, Meg?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much.
Sure. So, SparkPeople is a huge community, weight loss community, and people just rave about the experiences that they have there, and I think you guys are getting ready to enrich that experience with the introduction of the SparkPeople Cookbook.
Yes, it's the SparkPeople Cookbook. Love your food, lose the weight. It's just, we're so proud of it. We worked on it for about a year and a half, and it's basically taking what I teach in the classroom out to the members at SparkPeople. I've always helped the SparkPeople members with some recipe makeovers, and we have video tips. So the book really is not just about, the book. It also helps with the website too, because a lot of the recipes post videos online that you can watch to coincide with the book.
Perfect. And for a lot of people, cooking really is something that we've lost touch with. And
Yes.
so many people aren't familiar with it, and it seems so overwhelming and so daunting. And one of the things I love about the SparkPeople Cookbook is that the recipes, I think 150 of the 160 recipes can be made in less than half an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all got half an hour to whip up a really healthy meal.
Yeah. Well, and they do, and a lot of them too, I kept cost in mind, and I also kept time in mind. I'm a mom. I have 3 teenage boys. I have a full-time job as a college professor teaching people how to become chefs. But all of the recipes you can find, the ingredients you can find at your local grocery store. We do have a seasonal recipes, spring, winter, fall, to encourage that seasonality with eating. But main thing is quick, easy meals, flavorful. Have a grilled fish with a mango salsa that is in and out of the kitchen in like 20 minutes. And the beauty of it is I give you about 4 options with the fish. Looking at seasonality. Is it a sole, summer sole, or are you looking at a flounder, or are you looking at grouper, so that when you go to the grocery store, you can say, okay, what's fresh today? And we give you the options in the book of different fish that you can use. And I love that recipe because it's a sweet heat recipe. I have a mango jalapeno salsa in it. And if you've never cut up a mango, you can go to the website, and I have a video posted on how to cut up a mango.
Perfect, perfect. I love that you're talking about seasonality, and then that was an influence when creating the recipes, because I think people overlook seasonality. You go to the grocery store and you get frustrated that an avocado costs $2, but the truth is an avocado isn't in season all the time. Or you get mad in the winter when tomatoes are cost so much, and it's because they're not in season and it costs more to produce them. So I think as people, healthy eating seems so expensive, and that's one of the turnoffs, but like you said, if you just keep seasonality in mind, you'll really save yourself a lot of money when you're buying those foods.
You do. And I'm a farmer's daughter. And so that's a lot of the book is about, okay, tomatoes are in season here in central Kentucky right now, and I am making tomato jam, I'm making ketchup, I'm making everything. And it really, I think, it helps with teaching your kids, too, that, if you love tomatoes, oh my gosh, eat them right now because they're in season. Well, in about 3 weeks here, we're going to have butternut squash. Well, we're going to eat butternut squash for a couple months. And so the one thing is it's reflected with your diet is that it makes you change up. You get into these routines. Like I get into exercise routines. A lot of people get into routines with their diets because it's a little bit of a learning curve. They don't know how to make these other recipes. But that's what the book encourages you, that, eat what's in season, eat what's flavorful, and then the economics will come along, because if it's in season, it's going to be cheaper.
Right.
And then you're varying your diet.
Right. Well, the other aspect of that is flavor. I think we often think that if I have to start eating this healthy diet food, that food's not going to taste good. I'm going to eat like a rabbit. It's going to be terrible. But the foods I make that are healthy are the ones that always taste the best. I would take fish tacos over a thing of greasy beef tacos any day of the week. So. So how do you incorporate all of that wonderful flavor that we're so used to and that we crave and need, but cut the calories and the fat and make them wholesome and healthy?
Right. Well, there's no deprivation in the book. In the book, you'll find butter, you'll find bacon, and it's, I struggle with weight. Being a chef, I eat all day long. When I was in culinary school, I ate all day long, and I tested recipes all night. And, it makes you realize that if you say, okay, I'm going to eat this cabbage soup, and I'm going to eat it every day for the next month so I can lose 5 pounds, there's something always missing. You need this satisfaction. You need this flavor that says, okay, wow, that was really good, and now I'm satisfied. And so that was my number one goal with this book, was that we're not going to limit people. We're going to teach them how to eat flavorful foods, and they're going to come away from the table and they're going to say, oh my gosh, I'm full, and look, there's still maybe some food left on the plate. So I encouraged in the book a lot of 0-calorie flavor boosters, making my own spice blends. They're really easy to do. A lot of the commercial products that are out there that are boasting, okay, this is so flavorful, well, the flavor comes in with salt. So we're really trying to limit the salt. So that's where with the spice blends, we have a slow cooker chicken salsa recipe that actually was a member-submitted recipe, and I kind of revamped it and added some vegetables. But the biggest issue with that recipe was it was using a packaged taco seasoning mix, and it was just enough sodium for a whole family for 1-2 days. So I basically came up with a it's only 30 milligrams of sodium taco seasoning mix. So it's just really swapping things around.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I stopped using those seasoning packets a few years ago when I realized just how much sodium was in there, and it's funny, everything, I already had everything in my cabinet. I didn't have to buy anything special or spend any extra money. I just take it out and season it myself. It tastes so much better. Yeah,
well, you do. And that's the thing, too, is that, unfortunately, the grocers, when you buy a spice, it's maybe 1, 2, or sometimes even 3 ounces. Well, really, those are only good for about 9 months. So you have this chili powder, use it up, mix it up with other things, and make your taco seasoning. And then that way, you're using up your spices pretty quickly, and they're not going to go stale in your cabinet. They're not going to go bad. Sesame seeds and poppy seeds will go rancid. But your chili powder's not going to go bad. It's just going to lose all the flavor. So, when you buy it, try to use it up. So that way you can start, making your own spices.
Right. Is freezing spices a thing? Can you freeze spices? Do they hold the flavor?
You can. My only problem with that, it's the whole identification thing. You can freeze them in the bottles, but generally they need a cool, dry environment.
Okay.
In the freezer, you can get that humidity. So the best thing to do is don't put them anywhere near your stove. Don't put them in the windowsill. Put them in a cupboard. And then what I like to do, the manufacturers will put codes on them when they were produced. When you get them home, your Sharpie's your best friend. Write on it, this is the date I bought it.
Got it.
The other thing, too, with your baking, make sure, like your baking powder and your baking soda, check the dates. I was cooking the other day and realized that my baking powder had expired about 6 months ago. You really will see some effects with that. You're not going to get the rise in your baked goods. So kind of mark them up when you buy them. Or if you shop at a co-op, only buy small amounts at a time. That's another, good choice that you can do.
Right. So you, in the book, also include 2 weeks' worth of meal plans, and that covers breakfast, lunch, dinner, and even snacks. Right. And you are able to keep that calorie range at about 1,500 calories per day for the full, full meal plan. And I love that. 1,500 calories is more than enough food. And it's definitely, reduced from what most people are eating, so they're going to realize a little bit of weight loss when they follow that. But it also makes it so simple.
It does, and that's the big thing, is that it's really not a diet book. It's just a healthy lifestyle. It's reflective of how I eat and how I cook for my family. If we separate one member of the family and say, okay, this person's on a diet, they can't have this, they can't have that, it really doesn't work. So in the book, I have some slimmed down versions that, it's a meal that's healthy. If you want to say, if the dad or one of the teenagers is trying to reduce their caloric intake, what we do is we have options within the recipes to slim it down. So maybe you can omit the nuts in the salad or use a little bit less sauce. But there's no deprivation, and it's not singling out any one person in the family that you're trying to maybe, reduce their caloric intake. But it's just a lifestyle, and that's what SparkPeople.com is. It's a lifestyle. It's a way of encouraging a healthy lifestyle that, you don't segment somebody out and say, oh gosh, mom's trying to lose weight, let's make her eat, lettuce.
Exactly. Mom has to make a salad while the boys eat a pizza.
Yeah, that's not fair.
No one wants that.
I love, when we have these big parties at our house all the time, we end up with, lots of boys over here. Pizza's our favorite. And I do have a margarita pizza, and I use quinoa in the dough just to bump up the protein, bump up the fiber. So there's even, pizza recipes within the book, which probably are one of my favorite, well, definitely one of my kids' favorites.
Awesome. We love making homemade pizza. It tastes better. It's so much better for you. Well, you've got 160 recipes in the Spark People book. And you've mentioned grilled fish, tacos, and the margarita pizza. What are your other favorites?
There's a pork tenderloin with a mustard sauce. I like it because I think, a lot of the recipe books are for the daily cooking, which this book is great. We have the slow cooker chicken salsa. We have lots of Mama's red beans and rice. So a lot of like weekday meals. But where I find that in the healthy cooking aspect books, there's really nothing for entertaining. And we still want to have our, nice Saturday night candlelight supper with some friends over, or maybe a Sunday afternoon, after church. So I came up with a recipe. I'm a classically French trained chef that, we really use a lot of, fattening sauces. So in this, I did a mustard sauce using yogurt instead of the traditional bechamel, which has a lot of butter and a lot of cream. I like the pork. It's economical. It's pretty fast cooking. And the main thing, too, is that we show you, how to trim the pork, but it has a lot of flavor, and it cooks pretty quickly. But I think it's a fancy meal.
Right.
But, it's just something different, and it's healthy, so I like that one. Love the pizzas, love the desserts. Really, we say you can have your cake and eat it, too. There's a dark chocolate angel food cake with a dark chocolate glaze, and it's really good. There's spring cupcakes that I use zucchini and carrots to fill them up.
Okay.
My boys, who are all now teenagers, they couldn't figure it out. They were like, these are really good. This has something in it. And I'm just kind of going, okay. Now the joke is, I tell them what's in it. But, a lot of people with, 8, 9-year-olds, sometimes if you say, oh, yeah, there's carrots in those muffins, they go, ooh, I'm not eating it.
Not touching that.
No. Yeah.
You mentioned this pork tenderloin and, putting together a beautiful meal with that. And a lot of people get stuck with, okay, I have this amazing main entree. What do I serve with it? One of the other details in the book that I love is that you have the make a meal suggestions. And so with each entree, you make suggestions for what you can use, fill that out, and make it a really balanced, healthy meal.
Right, we do. And then we also have the option, too, of like we have a roast beef, and we say, okay, you could cook this on Sunday night. Well, what can you do with it Monday night?
Exactly.
Or Monday for lunch, and one of the things that came up was a beef and blue roast beef sandwich with a blue cheese sauce. So again, it's showing you that whole thing that you're not going to be deprived. You can have a blue cheese sauce.
Right.
But we chose a lean cut of meat. Our portion sizes on the proteins are anywhere from 2 to 4 ounces. I've seen out there a lot of recipes where you get 1 ounce of protein, and I just don't think that's enough. I don't think people are going to be full. But, you go to a fast food restaurant and you get a 1/4 pound, serving of beef. That's just too much. So it's making smart choices with the proteins, choosing leaner proteins, and trying to stay within that 2 to 4 ounce serving.
Okay, got it. Well, I love the book. There's a lot of really great stuff in there, and I think it's going to help a lot of people, feel much more comfortable in their kitchens and making these healthy foods.
Oh, thank you. I mean, when I'm teaching students, I have that one-on-one interaction with them, and I can kind of see when they're like, oh my gosh, I don't think I can do this. So I really feel like the book is going to be part of the classroom. If they're stuck, they can always go to the website, SparkPeople.com, and really, look for help. And they can look for help, too, within the members. They can ask questions, or actually they can ask questions, too. I'm on there that they can ask, if they're stuck on a recipe, they can ask a question.
Yeah, it's a great community over there. So I think people are going to get a lot of help between the site and the book. So, Meg, thank you so much for joining us today and telling us a little bit more about the book. And we can't wait to try it out on October 4th.
Thank you.
Thank you. For dietsinreview.com, this is Brandy Koski.